Hey everyone, welcome back. Common Denominator. We want to do a quick reaction video here while I have a few minutes. This is Joe Rogan. If you guys know Joe Rogan, UFC, used to be on the reality show Fear Factor. Anyway, he has a podcast, which is the #1 podcast out right now on the planet. He's #1 on iTunes consistently. Here he's doing this is going to be incredible. Just take a look and listen to this. In the bottom right corner, you have a white girl, and she's going to start talking. And as soon as she starts talking, something's going to happen. Joe Rogan's going to be talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine. Apparently, he's some kind of rapper out of New York. Anyway, let's go ahead and listen real quick.
This will fuck your life up.
She's 18 to really fight me. Like, bitch, we had beef for a whole year. I just turned 18.
I can't do this. How crazy is this? This will fuck your life.
Okay, all right. So Joe Rogan is listening to this white girl. Now, we're going to listen to the white girl one more time, okay? Let's listen to her one more time. What does she sound like to you?
18 to really fight me. Like, bitch, we had beef for a whole year. I just turned 18.
I can't do this. How crazy is this?
All right. Well, now, let me ask you this. What does she sound like? What does she sound like? Number 2, my second question for you guys is, does she sound like an intelligent person? That's a serious question. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Does she sound like an intelligent person? Why do you think she sounds this way? Number 3, why do you think she sounds this way? And number 4, why do you think Joe Rogan can't take it? He can't listen to it anymore. Okay? So now another question. You know, I'm going to do something different. I usually give my opinion and this and that. I'm not going to do that so much this time. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to let you listen to this and let you think about it, and then I'll let you react down in the comments. What does she sound like? Does she sound intelligent? Do you want your kids to sound like that? Do you think that she is culturally appropriating? That's as close as I'm going to get to giving an answer. Do you think that she's culturally appropriating? If she is culturally appropriating, is this a good look? Does this look normal? Does she look like a human being who's been to school, who can read? Does she seem like a literate person? Think about that. Now, if you don't think she sounds like a literate person, if you don't want your kids to sound like this, why do we listen to musicians and artists who sound like this? Why do we even entertain them? Why do we look up to them? Why are they celebrated? On the other hand, I'm going to play another video for you. All right. On the other hand, I want you to listen to Don Lemon. Listen to Don Lemon.
Committee standing firm tonight, saying they will not make revisions to their document, which rebuts a GOP memo claiming the FBI abused its surveillance authority.
All right, now you heard a little bit of Don Lemon. What do you think? Is this the type of person who sounds like they're literate? Is this the type of person does he sound intelligent? Does he sound like he's been to school? Now, between Don Lemon and the girl that I played earlier, which one sounds more intelligent? Which one sounds more becoming? Which one would you rather see the black community emulate? Okay, let's hold on to those questions. I'm gonna play another one. Okay, the next person we're gonna listen to is the one and only Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. An amazing individual. None of us would be in the position we are in today had it not been for him. Who knows if another leader would have risen up between then and now, but we owe a debt of gratitude to Dr. King and his family and the other civil rights leaders. But let's go ahead and listen to Dr. King, someone who is admired by blacks and whites, universally by blacks, and a lot of whites admire Dr. King as well. Let's go ahead and listen to what Dr. King has to say.
My view has been a little distorted at that point. I haven't only urged Negroes not to fight. I feel that the war is so unjust, so abominable, so futile and bloody and costly that nobody should be fighting there. I have limited my...
Okay, now that's a little bit of Dr. King. Okay, now I could go through a lot of different African Americans. I could go through a lot of different people and how they speak. What I want to ask you, what I want to show you and demonstrate to you is that your speech presents an image. Who we are as African Americans presents an image. In this first, you can look on your screen. At first, you can see this Caucasian girl who she sounds a certain way. And the funny thing is, here's what's funny about this. This is why I'm doing this video. When African Americans sound the way she sounds, we know that that person is suffering from a social condition, namely poverty, lack of education, has grown up in disenfranchised neighborhoods, and they sound a certain way as a result of that disenfranchisement. We know it's also, but here, this girl most likely not coming from that neighborhood, but let's say she is anyway. If she comes from a white neighborhood and she sounds like this, then this dialect, which is supported and widely spoken in certain parts of African America, this dialect then does not just belong to one group. It belongs to a socioeconomic group. It doesn't belong to a racial group per se. It belongs to a socioeconomic group. But we know that it's namely a socioeconomic factor within a racial group, the African American subset of the ethnicities, that has this sort of dialect. This dialect that comes from the street, it comes from poverty. It's parroted by many. It's used in the hip hop community. It's a voice that is associated with black. The thing is that when we call this black and we don't challenge this type of speech, we don't ask people, well, we know why they sound like that, but we don't encourage them to sound better. We actually encourage them to sound this way because it's quote unquote black. And to be black is to be good. It's a good thing. It's identity. It's to be black. And if you try to be anything other than this, something's wrong with you. Something is seriously wrong with you. You don't want to be black. This is how it's processed in the small minds of many people across African America who live within this subgroup. The reality is it's related to education, poverty, etc. The fact that this is considered black, as well as the Martin Luther King dialect, but this is not challenged. But notice that, here's what I'm getting at. A person who sounds like Don Lemon's come under a lot of criticism from the hood rats and the hood roaches. And the fence riders being the people who try to ride the line. They're intelligent people, but they ride the line between streets and academia, between normal and abnormal. They ride that line because they don't want to be ostracized. They don't want to leave the group. But you're not leaving the group. you're in another group. That's the thing. We don't see the benefit in supporting the group of intelligent black people. We don't see that as strongly as we see as we see the supporting people who sound like they have a third grade education. The problem is that if a black person sounds like this white girl, and I'm going to play this again.
I was 18 to really fight me. Like, bitch, we had beef for a whole year. I just turned 18.
I can't do this.
If a black person sounds like that, we excuse it and we just say it's black and we let it go. There's no challenge. There's no, this person needs to go to school. This person needs hooked on phonics. None of the above. We let it go. We simply accept it for what it is. But let a black person go to school. Let a black person get an education, read some books, and sound intelligent. Then you see the criticism. Then you see people coming out of the woodwork criticizing that black person for sounding too proper, quote unquote, white. Now, challenging that myth. Do all white people sound quote unquote proper? No, absolutely not. And I have something to show you. What you guys are about to see right now is probably some of the greatest video on this content, on this topic. This guy does a great book review on Thomas Sowell's Black Rednecks and White Liberals. Okay. This, what you're about to hear is just incredible. I go subscribe to this guy's channel. I don't know. I can't pull up the, actually, let me see if I can pull up the channel name. It's Better Than Food Book Reviews. Okay. And the video title's Thomas Sowell, Black Rednecks and White Liberals. Listen to what he has to say.
Ghetto slang, speaking black, ebonics, whatever you want to say, Thomas Sowell believes actually came from poor British white people. And it actually died out over there after they had come over to America, you see. The quality of life over in England had actually gone up, and that culture sort of evaporated. No, this doesn't mean that it's more appropriate for white people to speak shitty English slang and say it's not black culture. It has obviously become a part of black culture, and it is usually prominently associated with black identity. But the irony is this. For something being strongly associated with black identity, it doesn't come from blacks. So for example, if a black man or woman is speaking...
And let me stop there. He made a great point. For something that is associated with black identity, it doesn't come from blacks. Let me tell you something. Basketball is strongly associated with black identity, but it doesn't come from us. We have culturally appropriated that sport to the extent to where we actually believe that we are the owners of basketball. And the truth is it comes from a white Canadian man. But black people, if you don't watch basketball, if you don't watch this white sport, something's wrong with you. You're not black enough. This is the level of intelligence and hypocrisy in the black community. Let's continue.
Very good English, other black people will give them shit for not speaking black or not being black enough. Speaking good English is a betrayal. And actually...
You made a good point there. Speaking English, good English, or speaking well, speaking English well is a betrayal. And he said that sarcastically. Think about that. This is some slave-like mentality. You know, the slaves, think about it. Let's go back in our minds, go back in time. Slaves would see white people doing certain things, and they would associate those things with white people. For example, reading books. Slaves couldn't read. Reading books was a white activity. Therefore, when a black person later on, who knows, 30, 40, 50 years, started reading books, now this black person, they would call this black person, oh, you're acting white. this sort of mentality went all the way up to, I don't know, 2000s, 1990s. I don't know. I don't even think it's cool to read books anymore. I don't even think it's cool for black people to read books like that. If you're reading books too much, if they catch you reading books too much, you just might be a square. Let's continue.
Now that I think about it, white people do the exact same thing. I mean, like Southern, like redneck people, and like, why you gotta speak all sophisticated? I've actually had that said to me. But this is the thing, they don't owe them shit.
I'm going to stop it right there. This is amazing. This is some of the best video. It'll help you really understand what's happening in our culture, what's happening in America, and why we have to fight back, why we have to pull. Look, black people have this uncanny ability to recognize when another black person's in the sunken place. But for some reason, can't realize when they're in the ghetto space. The ghetto space is the space where everything gets divided by race, but even some of the things that you're doing within the black group, some of the activities and some of the things that you espouse and that you hold on to, those came from white people, including this way of speaking English, Ebonics, according to the research of Dr. Thomas Sowell. Including that. English, slaves had to learn English somewhere. It's obvious that they learned it from whites. They couldn't have learned it from anyone else. No one else spoke English. English is a European language. So this is the conundrum we face. Going back to this girl in the first clip. Take a look at her. She sounds like, you know what she sounds like. She sounds like an uneducated fool. Joe Rogan realizes it, and but you see, let me show you this. I'm going to wrap up with this. Because it's a white girl who sounds like this, something's wrong with her. Something's wrong with her. Because she's quote unquote privileged. She's not supposed to sound this way. You see what I'm saying? But when it's a black person who sounds like this, it's normal. It's considered normal. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you this is not normal. I want you to see this for what it is. It's not normal. It makes us look bad. You see, when a black person talks like this, nobody cares. Nobody bats an eye. Oh, it's just a black person. Do you see how degrading that is? Do you see how that makes us look bad? Anyway, guys, common denominator. Please, please, please share this video. Like on it. I only ask you to like so that it can boost views and boost visibility on YouTube. I don't get paid from YouTube. I don't monetize my videos. I'm not looking for money from this. I'm doing this for the culture. Anyway, common denominator. You guys have a good one. I'll see you next time. Peace.